Welcome to MOMO Talks with the SNOWLION CLUB.
So, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Tenzin Rabiang, your host.
My name is Tashi. I'm the co-host and a member of SNOWLION CLUB.
Chemi. That's my intro.
So today, basically, we're getting to know Chemi Lhamo. You know, everyone knows Chemi Lhamo, but do they really know Chemi Lhamo? That's the real question. What's it, Rabiang La? Start off with the questions.
The first one we'll just keep brief. Like, let's talk about like the COVID-19 situation and what's going on right now with the protests and stuff. What do you think about that?
Like the situation right now in terms of all across America, systemic racism, people finally standing up against racism that has been existing for years and centuries in North America. Crazy. What do I think about it? I think it's about time that people start to care about black folks in North America. Oftentimes we don't talk about racism, especially in the Tibetan community. And so I think it's about time that we start talking about these things. What do I think about the protests? I mean, I think all power to them. If you're not a black person and you can show up at protests to support, I think that's great. But there are also other ways to support. So I think, you know, donating or sharing on your social media is great. But what else are you doing to support the black communities? Are you checking in on your black friends? Right? Even if you have one black friend, make sure that they're okay, because the way we live our lives is not how their lives are, right? You can't just forget about everything, meet up your friends over momos, because there is a danger when you walk outside your place. And even inside your own homes, you're not safe anymore, because the police can just show up at your place and actually kill you or throw you off of your own balcony, which happened just a couple of days ago here in Toronto. Right? So, I think... Yeah, that shit gets me emotional.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Just thinking about it gets me angry, infuriated. Wow, you made me dive deep in the first question.
No, I mean, like, that's what we were looking for, right? Okay, I guess that was
time for moments for me.
I'm just kidding. Oh yeah, so we gotta cut down into like different categories for you, and like the first one we want to talk about like your childhood and your lifestyle.
Okay.
So we know that you're a big fan of WWE.
Yes.
And we know about the 6 stitches that you got on your forehead.
Oh yes, not 6, 2, but yes.
2?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So can you tell a little bit about that?
People think I'm a non-violent person, y'all. You're gonna ruin everything. Yeah, so when I was young, I loved WWE. Like in the morning, no, not even in the morning. At night, there was like Friday Night Raw, and then Friday Night SmackDown, Monday Night Raw. Yeah,
Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown. So during the day, I would watch TV, whatever I was watching. But when wrestling was on, there's nothing else that anybody else can watch. Like my sister and I just watch wrestling, and then we sleep. In the morning when we wake up, it shows the recap. And so
watch it again.
Yes, we watch it again. But the worst part is at school you have to wear like braids, right?
Yeah.
So my mom is doing my braids, and I'm like, like I push Amla to watch wrestling, and my sister and I are always like, if we get into arguments, we actually like used to like try to do wrestling moves on each other.
Oh.
Sometimes it got violent.
That's how you got it?
Yeah, I mean, we were very physical human beings, I guess, when we argued, you know, and because we're so exposed to wrestling all the time. I mean, like, you know, we used to like, and Amla's like, like, so I'd be like, you know.
So who was your favorite cast? I think
Undertaker.
Undertaker? Oh, okay.
Could you show us a move?
No.
Okay. So we know about your nickname.
What's my nickname?
CID.
Who's telling you all this?
So, tell me a little bit of give us a little bit of a backstory on that one.
Yeah, so I think I was an interesting character while growing up, because I look back to it and I'm thinking like, well, what the hell was I thinking? Because Amna used to go to work, so did Pala. But there was a moment in my life when I was really young that Pala didn't go to work, and then he was at home, and I used to watch everything that he did. So at night, how many beers he drank, how much money he was spending, whose friends are coming over, how many beers his friends are drinking, what he's buying, what he's talking about. And then so they're in the room here, right? And I'm in the other room or whatever, and there's a parta, and then the parta is like here, right? And I used to like peek at the bottom and like listen, like literally like see, I don't know, a reporter or he's something, I don't know what I was thinking. So I used to like listen in, and then at night when Amla comes from work, and then we sleep together, I sleep with my Amla. And then in my niya, I'd be like, I'm not telling you that. Pala did chisra, beer dikos tusra, fish dikos tusra, posa did chisra. And I'm not just like, no, I taught you well. No, I'm joking. She probably didn't do that, but yeah, I got my Mingdo as CID very young because I used to like.
Did Pala give you that?
Yeah, of course. I used to be like, terko CID. And I'm like, like, you know, and I used to be like all that, and I walked away. But yeah, I really liked my mother. If somebody asked you, like, you know, you know, a lot of good kids, young kids are like, I just be like, yeah, mom. Like, straight up, like, mom. I'm not like, yeah, so that's how I got my name.
Wow.
You wanna go?
Yeah, so I mean, like, that's pretty wild. CID. You're very observant, I guess. So, do you know how many momos you've had so far?
Yeah.
You know how many momos
For me, I think 4.
Ravi has had so far? I think, let's see. Next question would be, when you moved here back in, like, I think it was 2007 when you moved here? When was it?
Yeah, information.
2007. How was your transition? Like, you know, moving from, I guess you came straight from South India, right?
Yeah.
Like, directly?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. No, I was just wondering. Yeah?
Yeah.
How was the transition like?
I wouldn't say hard, because I think a lot of people have it much harder. Because when I was in India, I studied in an English school. So I can mix English and Tibetan, yeah? Yeah, anything? Okay. Yeah, so I grew up in an English school since I was really young. I think I remember going to Puskong like 1 year. And I don't even remember that year, and I was too young for Puskong, so it was like a blur. I don't really remember much. So all my life in India basically was in an English school, and I spoke in English or in Tamil to get with my friends, and that was it. So Pege was only at home. So when I came here, I guess the school people were thinking like it would be hard for me to transition. So they actually, like, in grade 6 put me in LEAP program or whatever. After lunch, I would have to go to like the LEAP program, and I had to learn. The problem was, I was like, okay, fine, I need to learn English, sure, I need to, like, you know, improve my English. But the LEAP program after lunch was like math. And I was like, why would you put me in math help when I'm much smarter than all of these kids? Confidence at that time. Because you know, you have to learn your memorizing. You have to memorize your times table when you were like grade 1. Like, even in high school, if you ask a kid like what's sometimes 8, they'll be like,
just
struggling. You know?
And I'm like, whoa, like I knew this in like grade 3. So not to boost or anything, you know, it's just the school system is different. So I was like confused why they would put me in math help when they should have probably put me in like English, if anything, right? And so in the morning it was all English, and I'm like with the regular kids for English, and then for math I was in a class where there was math help, so she was teaching us how to divide, and I'm like, I can do that in my head, like why are you putting me? So anyways, fast forward, within that year they were like, oh, we should put you in regular class, and I was like, no shit, like, and then we went to regular class, and then in regular class that math was also easy, so then I actually ended up within that year tutoring some kids in math after school. And so for me, like, going through all of that experience in 1 year in grade 6, like, so easily, like, coming to Chige wasn't an inferiority complex anymore. It was more like, oh, like, like, I can succeed here easily though. So I got over this whole like immigrant mentality of falling behind or like being at the sort of bottom or being left out or the feeling into someone. It was very easy for me to get over it because of the school system of how it worked out for me. You know,
I think for me too, I got really lazy because like it was so easy here, and like back home it was so hard. Like when I came here, everything was so easy, right? And then you just get lazy to study. So that was one of the downfall
that comes later on in my life,
but yeah, that's the thing. High school is so easy. Again, you go to college and university. Again, it's there's a big gap. Like I think that's the
yeah.
So Chemi Lhamo, so you basically grew up in Bailakupi, right? But then you went to school in Uti. So what can you tell us a little bit about like Bailakupi, some fond memories, or even Uti, some fond memories of Uti?
Fond memories in Bailakupi would include like spending time with my momla. My momla is still there right now.
Oh wow, she's still there.
Yeah, so but it's been like 8 years since I visited her last. So I really hope to go back when I finish school this year and spend some time with her because time doesn't stop for anybody. She's getting older, as do we. So I want to go and spend some time with her. She's my only grandparent left from my family. From my mom's side, they passed away really early, and that really breaks my heart because I think when you lose that generation, you lose a lot of their stories, and they're the only ones that have like seen Tibet, have touched it, have lived that life. And so for me, like Tibet means a lot, and so losing them means I lose part of my history and part of my own identity, which I never got to know. So that's the Bailakupi part. And then in Uti, it was so weird growing up because Lokdala, it was all like Tamil and Tamil kids, right? They're all Tamil, so I would like speak to them in Tamil. And there were many moments in my life where, of course, I wouldn't fit in because I was like looking like this in like a group of Tamil kids. But there were some other Tibetan kids that made it better. But yeah, it was interesting. But I think one thing I took out of it was the languages. So I speak Tamil, Hindi, and English and Tibetan, right? So the English and Hindi part, the Tamil and the Hindi part helps me a lot right now, at least here in Canada and Toronto. Yeah.
That's the thing about Tibetan, they moved around a lot and then London.
Yeah, I always say it's a blessing and a curse because blessing that of course you get used to and you can relate to a lot of humans across the world, but I always say that it's a curse as well because it's a reminder of how many times our parents had to start over and over again. So you have to go to a new place and learn a language. It's hard. It's not easy to go and land in a place out of nowhere and then pick up the language, work, and then get a job and be able to be stable enough to support your kids and stuff. So I say a blessing and a curse all the time. My parents had to struggle a lot for me to be able to have this blessing. So yeah. But shout out to Tibetans who are multilingual.
Hey.
So I guess the next question is really obvious. Tell us a little bit about Shimbu, the origin of Shimbu,
Shimbu with four U's.
Shimbu with 4 U's.
You got it right.
Shimbu's with 4 U's.
Oh, it has a.
It's actually serious, yeah. I'm very intentional with the words. It has 4 U's because 4 is my jersey number. I played sports all throughout my high school and middle school, and number 4 was my jersey all throughout my athleticism or athlete career. And then I'm no longer an athlete, as you can tell. But that's why I transitioned from playing sports to eating food on a full-time basis. I eat a lot. And then Instagram, I post stories about what I eat because I love going out to eat. And also at home, I have Bala and Amla who cook really well. So constantly putting Instagram stories. And then I just say Shimbu a lot. I don't know how it started. It's just kala. When you see good food, you're like, Shimbu, it's so good. And then so I started saying Shimbu, and then I was like, oh, it's actually a vibe because when I went to Scarborough, I go to school in Scarborough, right? Some of my friends who are not Tibetans at all, and they're like, oh, Shimbu's here. And I was like, whoa, what does that mean? Do you know what it means? And they're like, nope, you always say it. And I was like, oh, that should be a thing. And then I started hashtagging Shimbu with 4 U's because my Instagram handle has 4 O's. So it's a thing,
So to our non-Tibetan viewers, right? You want to explain what Shimbu is?
No, we gotta keep them guessing.
I guess so.
No, I'm joking. A lot of people thought it was food, but it's actually yummy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yummy.
So yeah, in translation, it means yummy. So
yummy in my tummy.
So there should be like a Tibetan remix of yummy.
Yeah.
Shimbu, shimbu, shimbu.
You do the singing. I'll do the nodding.
Okay.
I guess I'll ask. Any long-term or short-term goals that you want to fulfill?
Oh yeah, so many.
So
yeah.
You want to go through like one or two?
Sure.
Just one is okay too.
Short-term goal is to be able to take my parents on like a full India tour. Especially not just India, I think India and Nepal, to all of the religious sites. My parents are quite religious, and I think they never had the opportunity in their life to sort of just relax and sit still. So I hope that that's a short-term goal, that I could go with them. It would be great if I could, if not, at least have them go on this trip to all of the sites. Like Dojide, Bodhgaya, Lumbini, like...
So like a pilgrimage.
Yeah, a pilgrimage.
Yeah, there's lots of holy places in
sites,
India, right?
Yeah. Definitely. Of course, like having them visit Tibet also would be a dream come true.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But that's somewhere in just the goals in the future.
Yeah.
Short term would be that, and then long term, of course, return to Tibet and build our nation together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Return to Tibet
and build our nation
together.
Because returning is one thing, but rebuilding and building our nation and this concept of nationhood, I think, is going to take a while. But if we all do it together, I think it's possible.
So yesterday, I think I was watching this live video, and there was this. He's probably 21 years old, some Tibetan from from the U.S. And one of the questions for him was like, they're just doing questions, and like, if tomorrow Tibet was like, let's say it opened up and like Tibetans can go back and start rebuilding, would you? And for me, I personally thought like if I was him, I'd go, like, or if that happened, I would go right away, like, without a doubt. But then what he said was like, it really made some sense to me, where he's like, I wouldn't go right away. I'd do my education and everything over here first, just because the resources over here are already available to him, right? And it's accessible, so easily accessible.
There,
yeah, so like he would do that over here, and then afterwards, then gain some experience over here and then go back. What would you do, Chemi?
I would return. I think whatever the 21-year-old said is also very wise and smart. I would say more like smart. For me, no matter how much of a great education and experience you have here in the West, going back to Tibet would be completely different. You will start from ground zero no matter what. Right? It's not the same. Tibet is not America. Tibet is not a British colonized country like India. Right? So you're not going to be like, hallelujah, when you go to Tibet. You're going to be absolute stranger. You don't know the language. Most of the Tibetan areas will speak different dialects. So you have to be able to start from ground zero.
You have to adapt that.
You have to adapt to this physical environment, but also the communities. And not being from the community will pose a challenge. You're not someone who will... Like for me, I'm not born in Tibet, so I don't have fingers who like automatically welcome me into the community. I'll start off again as a stranger in my own home, and then I would have to deal with being othered, all that shit like and you have to be able to deal with it, and it's not going to be easy. So for me, I think what I would do is return right away, because I want time to be able to build trust and relationships, meaningful relationships with the community members of my people, and then see in what ways I can contribute towards the movement and contribute towards rebuilding. And if there's no space for me in a leadership position there, it's okay, because for me it means more in my life to be able to be at home and be in Tibet, and then years down the road, if it's not working out, I'll be okay. At least I'm home.
So when you hear the word home, you think of P?
Yes, I always did. But the funny part is, you don't know what home looks like.
Yeah.
So that's something I struggled with a lot, I guess, while growing up. A lot of Pebbles in general, I think, struggle with that. but growing up in Tamil Nadu, like complete stranger. So all my life I've never really worked with the Tibetan community except for when I came here. And so I think now if you ask me what home looks like, because I've asked this question so many times in my life, and I've also acted in different places where I always like out there asking people, what does home look like for you? What does home look like for you? And like trying to see whether or not it makes sense and if I'm like normal. So Tanda, if you ask me, I would definitely say it's where my parents are. And yeah, Tibet. But a lot of places are home now for me because I think of India as home.
Yeah.
I think of Dharamsala as home, and I've only been to Dharamsala like 3 times in the past 2 years. Before that, I've never been. So even then, Dharamsala still has like a place called home, or a place in my heart as home. So yeah, as cheesy as it is, I think home is where the heart is.
Home is where the heart is. It's true.
I guess. Yeah. So like we know you for a while, and we know like you're really deeply like rooted in like Tibetan culture and like traditional and like have like worked really hard to preserve it, right? So we were really inspired by one of the statement that you gave to CBC. I think it was CBC, right? So it's like it all goes back to my Buddhist traditional and like the values and wisdom and compassion, right? So like, can you go through a little bit about that and like why do you think it's important for you?
We talked a lot about home, right?
Yeah.
So this concept of home is like, since it was something I dealt with, or I guess was working with and grappling with as I was growing up in my life, and I continue to do so, because even today when you ask, I'm like, what am I going to say? Like, so when I was doing that interview, you know, the first thing that I wanted to say about my own self was that, you know, I'm very proud of my tradition.
Yeah.
Because you come after a whole process. It's like you're climbing a whole mountain, and then once you've climbed it and you're like at the top, you realize, like this is ours, this tradition, you know, this identity crisis that I had, all of it, right? All of them lies, the answers to all of those questions lies back in my roots. When I came back to Parkdale, when I hung out with the seniors, when we started our seniors project with TCCC like 5-6 years ago, you know, those are the times and moments that I will cherish forever within me. And when I started learning more about Namche and all of spending more time in the Kumbha and stuff like that, you know, all of the questions I've ever had in my life has been answered by the Geshe-las, by the people of my own community. And so that's when I realized, you know, if you're ever confused, just spend some time with your community. If you're ever out of the box and like literally all over the place, come and spend some time, and then it'll literally like pull you back, and it's like your roots. You know, that's a lot of people say, where are your roots, right? And literally the roots word makes sense to me, because it's like, if you're a tree and you're like literally being swung in a tornado, your roots like keep you grounded, you know? And they pull you back and like, Chemi, get your shit together. And so, and then I guess one way that I can explain to others about my community is the community that is rooted in the tradition of the 2 things, wisdom and compassion. Wisdom because, 1, we're the carriers of the Nalanda tradition, but 2, our grandparents are so wise. Nobody's ever able to answer all of my questions except for my own community people. So things make sense to me. That wisdom, and then compassion because they actually spend the time to sit with you and answer, and they have the care and love to be able to see this young girl who's confused and has a lot of questions and be like, okay, Chemi, sit down. This is how it works. This is how it is. Or if they don't say it, they show it. And I'm like, that's what love is. That's what compassion is. And I get to see it. And I'm like, I want to be like that. And I start to do it. So I think that's ultimately how I would describe my own community. And so I was like, this is probably how I should say it in the interview. Cool.
Yeah, that was really like simple and like really, you can understand right away, like, know that sentence, and it hits you differently.
Thanks, I'm glad. The analogy is like a bird, right? You have to have 2 wings. One is wisdom, and then the other is compassion. Without wisdom, compassion is sometimes futile, because you want to help somebody, but if you don't know how to help them properly, you know, it might actually harm them. So, Yeah,
you don't want to do no harm. If you can't help them, don't harm them.
Yeah,
right.
Of course.
How do you say that in Tibetan again?
Mila pema to na nirmakis.
Mila pema to na nirmakis.
Nirmakis,
yeah. So we know that, you know, like Chemi Lhamo, I say this quite often, like, you know, you're a great role model for like the youth, not just the youth.
Why? Because I can eat a lot of momos?
Oh, that too. You know, not just the youth, but like adults too, like older people, and like, you know, you inspire a lot of people. And I know that, you know, your life obviously must be under some sort of microscope, you know, to a certain extent, right? I guess the question is like, how do you deal with this pressure that's, you know, this on your shoulders? I mean, like,
pressure by who?
Pressure by like just
our own community or the external world?
I'd say our own community. Honestly, I would like to know personally about our own community. You know, how you deal with that pressure. Yeah, if you could.
I could go on for days about this.
I know. That's why.
I think that's when Shimu came along, you know.
Definitely, you know, I find peace with my food.
Yeah.
Pressure, Ladwa. There's so many incidents I could tell you about when I think about the pressures I have. However, I think I just like what helps me during this time is reminding myself why this pressure is coming. One is because most oftentimes because the people care about you. People would not tell you that you have booger in your nose if they didn't care about you, right? Or your friends would not be looking, that's your friends looking out for you. So similarly, when my community says something to me or like there's this extreme pressure, you know, I think where is it coming from? And most oftentimes it's coming from a good place. And so that helps me because I'm just like, before reacting, I'm like, okay, like why is this person saying this to me? You know, would this person be saying this to everybody else? Right? And if not, you know, there's a reason why. And so that's one. And then the other thing that actually helps me with the pressure is I think it's an honor to be able to have this responsibility. And also I think, I feel very grateful and honored to think that the community thinks that I'm capable of doing something. So sometimes that pressure actually helps me because there's been moments in my life where I had never thought I could achieve X, Y, and Z things. Because those things never run in your head, right? If you asked me 5 years ago what I wanted to be, I'd be telling you something else, completely different. But now I'm at a place where I can articulate what I feel. And that's because the community believed that I could become this person that would be articulate, that would be out there in the outside of our community and talking about Tibet. And so when someone believes in you to be something bigger than you are, you actually become bigger than you are. And then, like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so I think the pressure, of course, I talk about all of the downsides of the pressure sometimes in like social media and stuff like that, about like little things like my nose piercing and stuff like that, like my color, the skin color of my, the color of my skin.
Following a certain page.
Yeah, exactly. Little things like that have gotten to me, but I mean, those are just minor things because in the larger scale, I think, I truly am grateful for the trust that the community has in me to do good things in the world. Would you like, would you say, like, was there ever a time, like, you know, throughout, like, you know, being a leader of the community, of course, leader of the community, was there ever a time, like, you know, you felt as though, like, you didn't want to do it at all, like anymore? You kind of, like, you know, hit some point in your life, like a breaking point where you're just like, this is like so much pressure, and like, you know, I'm feeling all this right now, and like maybe even you cried, maybe you broke down, you know. Was there ever a point, and like what kept you going, since if there was a point like that? Ironically enough, it was during the time that I was getting a lot of death threats and rape threats from the Gemis, Gemi students and stuff like that. That didn't scare me, which is actually weird because I'm like, I shouldn't be scared. Why am I not scared in my own head? But that pressure got to me when I realized how serious it was and the danger that it has on my parents. So there is, of course, Tibet and the Tibetan movement. That means a lot to me, and I would give up anything, including my life, for it. However, the other side of the story, which technically and always has been the same story for me, now had become different, because it was like I stand up and I continue to like fight them and like do whatever I want to do in the media and say things, but that might actually pose a danger to my parents. And that was actually like really harsh hit for me, because when I saw in the comments something like one person said, "Your mom is dead," and so now I think about it, I'm like, shit, like it hit me really hard then, because I had to like call my mom and be like, I'm not like cut it, you know, like pretend,
check on that,
yeah,
right?
and also like pretending like as if it was like not that serious, because if I say it's serious, then she'd get scared, right? And then so trying to pretend to my own family, which I never had to, was hard. So I think during that time in my life, I was kind of like actually like, okay, I need to think about the future and realize that the more I do these things, the more in danger I'm putting my own family in, and that sometimes means that, you know, for some of the activists, that their family members, they have like binyas and peu, and so they cannot contact them, right? They would have to cut ties with all of these people that kept them happy and was very important to them. So I was very selfish in not thinking about these things very early on, but during that moment, I realized, I was like, shit, now I'm actually like at a place where I rethink what I do in the community, but you know, I think my parents supported me a lot, so I appreciate it, because after that stuff, I think they also realized that it's really serious. You know, Pumuchinji is no longer Pumuchinji. And so after that, I was just like, okay, I made a decision, and now moving forward, each time I make these decisions to go out there and, you know, represent, I'm going to think it more than twice, because and make sure that, you know, I can stand by it after I made the decisions. And so, yeah, that experience was really, really like a big learning curve for me, because a lot of times I say things, but when you're actually put under pressure, you see your true colors and see like, you know, oh shit, like I always said I wasn't scared, but now I'm actually really scared, and you can't show it. So if you can't tell the people that you've always talked to that you're scared, like, then who do you go talk to? So it was like this true extreme that I was going through. Like at school, I was like, "Kayamari, like it's fine," like because my friends were really scared. Yeah. Right. And then it was like police and like all these people that I was dealing, and like police and stuff, dealing with them, and then coming home and then pretending like everything's fine, because Balamla were so happy that all these Tibetan news were like asking about interviews, and then I was speaking in Tibetan in the Tibetan news. They were like, "Chemi, you didn't just like getting yourself." They're so happy about that. So I was like, "Okay, I'm glad you're happy," like, you know. But at home, at school, I'm like figuring out things. So yeah, it's one heck of a time. Sorry for a long story, but
no problem. So we know that you like you're really into like outfit and stuff, like especially Supreme. So let's say like if you had like, if you can take like, you can grab any one of the collection from Supreme, which one would it be?
One outfit from Supreme. I like their tracksuits a lot, so any like basic tracksuit of Supreme I have already, but I really like Supreme and like all these like hype bay fits. Hype bay, okay, not hype beast. Hype bay fits, but they're not the end of the world. Yeah. You know, I think as much as I love external stuff, I think to myself sometimes, you know, maybe I just want to switch my outfit completely and just go with like basic things, so it doesn't take up so much of my time. True. Back then, you know, I did have a lot of time to be like, oh, I want to wear this, I want to wear that. Now I'm like, I shouldn't be wasting time on this. I should be doing X, Y, and Z things. So
I just want something comfortable.
Yeah, Supreme fits are pretty comfortable, but also kind of hype. So I liked them. Now I think I'm trying to stop buying expensive clothes and focus on more things, other things in life for me.
Sure. Yeah. And take a break. How's it going?
Break your bad merengue.
Break your bad merengue.
Break
your bad. Some coffee.
Chimbu.
Oh, Nanda made this, right?
Yeah. So I think we only have a couple questions left.
Okay.
One of the questions, I mean, everyone wants to know kind of, you know, if with Chemi Lhamo, you know, relationships in general, you know, does the movement play a big part? You know, and like, does it affect your relationships with people? Has it affected relationships in the past with people? So that's the question.
Yes, definitely. I think the movement is a part of me. For me, it plays a really big role. So it has definitely affected, but so does everything else. Like, you know, if you're a gym addict, like you always want to go to the gym, and you get into a relationship, or you have a good, like a best friend or a friendship, you know, any type of relationship. If you're always going to the gym, then, you know, they kind of feel like they're sidelined. Then you're like, oh, you're not giving me as much time, and you know, stuff happens. Not stuff, arguments or little things, right?
Right.
And so I think similar to that, the movement for me is such a big part of me. So for some people who don't understand where I'm coming from, sometimes it's hard for them to sort of understand, especially if they're not Tibetan. Like, even I've had really good friends in my life where, you know, nothing more happened because I knew that we would never sort of understand each other on a level that I would like to, or be understood at a level that I would like to, because for me, what the movement means is something that a non-Tibetan would not be really able to understand. That's for me though, right? Because for me, it plays such a big role. However, I don't think it's like, oh, like completely no. Like, I'm sure there are people out there who can understand you at a different level if there's that connection, but I've never met anyone like that yet. So yeah, I think it definitely affects my relationships. And
it has in the past.
Yeah, it has in the past for sure. But, you know, I think it's for the better. I appreciate a lot of the people that were in my life before. I have a lot of memories, good memories, lots of love, care, and respect for all of the people that were in my life before. And, you know, I take good memories with me as I go. And moving forward, I know what I want, and I think I know where I draw the lines, right? How, to what level can you compromise with another person is ultimately the question. And I know where that line is for me, and if that person can accept it, great. If that person cannot, then it's a nice to meet you. See you there.
Left unseen. Not left unseen. I left her on speechless.
Yeah, he left me on speechless.
There we go.
That's how it is.
That's how it is.
I'm joking. I always send hearts. You know?
I guess the last question that we want to. After that, we'll do rapid fire, fire question. But last question I want to ask, like, I feel like you've inspired a lot of people, like, you know, through time. And if there's one advice that you want to give, like, what would that advice be?
Spend time with your community.
Sweet and simple, yeah. I guess so.
I think
I don't want to repeat a lot of the things I've already said before, but I think this one is a new one. I think I am who I am because of my community.
Yeah.
It took me a while to find that community, but later on I realized that it was within me. So it's nice.
And that answer really hits home, you know. Like I feel like our community, especially in our Tibetan community in Toronto as well, it's like the largest. Isn't it like the most like dense Tibetan population that we have outside of India, right?
Yeah, India and Nepal,
Yeah, India and Nepal, which is like, it's like mind baffling. Like the thing is like, just recently, I'm just sharing my own experience, but like when the TCCC was being built and everything, and like, you know, I'm guilty of it. I'm super guilty of it, and I like, you know, I just want to throw it out there. But like I would never like been to TCCC as often.
Yeah.
Until they actually made the basketball court.
That's fine. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I felt I look back on that and I was like, I feel super guilty, man. Like, because now I see like what they've built, and like, you know, it's benefiting me just because like I play basketball, and it's like, you know, an interest of mine and a passion of mine. And now I'm going there often, more and more often. But I'm seeing like behind the scenes stuff now. You know what I mean? And it's like it's opening my eyes. Yeah, it's opening my eyes a lot more, and like. And for anyone who's watching, like, you know, like what Chemi Lhamo said, like, spend more time with your community, especially for us Tibetans here in Toronto. I think that's definitely something that I want to be taking away from this. Yeah, obviously after COVID and stuff. So yeah, but yeah, I've never been to the community as much, like the center, which is
Well, you're always welcome, as you're aware.
Thank you.
Right?
I
So
appreciate it.
all of us.
Appreciate
You too. So you should come by.
it. Yes.
Okay, you wanna finish off with the
Rapid fire. Rapid
I'm
fire.
gonna use this. Okay. That's
Yeah, yeah.
a bunch of, like,
Rapid fire
like 10
questions.
questions.
10? Okay. And how fast do I have to answer?
No, you can just try to make it as short. Like, it's just gonna be like a yes and no kind
Oh, okay.
of answer. No.
Okay.
You wanna do it?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Favorite spot in Toronto.
Anywhere there's food.
favorite food.
Momos, pepper color.
Favorite restaurant.
Right now, Himalayan.
Favorite singer.
Don't really have one favorite.
I'm not.
I want him.
I'm not your friend.
Sure. Rangin Warrior is Ala Lamo.
Celebrity crush.
No. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad at this. I'm sorry. Celebrity crush.
They can be Tibetan. Tibetan celebrity crush.
None that.
Michael B. Jordan is pretty good.
Oh, Michael B. Jordan.
Thanks to Mexico 2021.
Yes.
Coffee or tea.
Coffee.
If you had any superpower, which one would it be?
To be able to understand all sides of the story at once.
Dream vacation.
Puh.
Favorite season.
No, I'm kidding. Everything is fair. Favorite season, no favorites, but spring, fall.
Dog or cat.
Dog, big one, mastiff, to be specific.
Now the next question is fried momo or steamed momo.
Fried. I love fried momos.
And favorite Indian snack.
Pani puri.
Oh man,
That's my next ASMR, by the way. Pani puri. That's what it's gonna
That's
be.
it for the rapid
I like
fire.
to eat. So I don't like.
But I guess a couple. I actually have a few more rapid fire ones. Would you rather ride a bike, ride a horse, or drive a car?
Ride a horse in Tibet or tied with ride a bike, like motorcycle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% motorcycle everywhere in part of the world.
Do you like or dislike surprises?
I love surprises.
Okay.
Take notes. I'm
And
joking.
In the evening, would you rather play a game, visit a relative, watch a movie, or read?
Visit a relative.
Okay. Would you rather vacation in Hawaii or Alaska?
Hawaii.
Okay. Would you rather win the
Not
lottery?
at a resort. Okay, sorry.
Not on a resort?
Not at a resort.
Not on a resort?
Yeah,
Okay.
continue.
Would you rather win the lottery or work at the perfect job?
Work at the perfect job.
Interesting. Who would you want to be stranded with on a deserted island?
Allah.
Okay.
Or you. No, I'm joking. This one does.
If money was no object, what would you do all day?
Spend time with my community, read about my own history, learn new languages, learn new skills, sew, design. I like puzzles. Learn, absorb like a sponge everything around me. Watch birds. Spend time near the water. Spend some alone time. Reflect. Watch all of Mind and Life Institute's recordings and His Holiness's teachings, and then basically follow around all of the Dharma teachers in my life.
Wow. Wow, that was a lot. If you could go back in time though,
Yes.
what year would you travel to? Specific year.
2008, be in Tibet during the Olympics.
During the Olympics.
That was a harsh time, right?
Yeah, I think they had. Yeah, that was a rough time. I think.
Yeah, but in my life, I don't like to go back in certain times and try to change things. I think a lot of them have contributed towards making me who I am today. So I don't want to change a lot of things. But during 2008, inside of Tibet, I think, would have been a time for me to experience. I would have been like to be there, I guess.
List 2 pet peeves. Pet peeves.
When people lie through their teeth to me. 1, 2, That's one, and then two, I guess. I don't know. That's the biggest one, I think. I like honesty, so yeah, that's one.
What was the best gift you have been given?
My Buddhist roots.
What was the worst gift you have been given?
Worst gift?
Mm-hmm.
My self-cherishing attitude. But I don't think nobody gave me that. I think it's just
You got that. You gave
we
it to
just
yourself.
have it. I guess it's just natural that comes up. But worst gifts that somebody gave, like physically,
Someone gave you physically.
yeah, like physically.
Given you. We don't have to say
all
names.
gifts, of course, no. But I mean, the person would know, right? It's pretty sad. Worst gifts.
When it's watching it, it's just
I'm trying to think. No, I love, like I said, I love surprises. So if you're giving me a gift, I'm like, oh, thank you. Like, you know, I appreciate it.
So you really didn't have a worst gift, or like the least liked gift. That's like collecting dust somewhere.
I'm
You know?
dead. I'm dead.
It's like under your bed, like it's just collecting dust. You gotta.
When did I admit it? I don't
No?
think so. No, unfortunately.
Okay.
Like one funny gift I got was one time like a potato, but like an actual aloo.
Like an actual aloo.
Yeah. But it was supposed to be a prank. It was like, oh, nya, aloo nya. Like, and I'm like, Christmas time, because I love surprise. Not that. I'm like, aloo, this is shit. Like, I didn't know how to react. So that was it. But apart from that, yeah, I appreciate all gifts. Because it's unexpected, right? Gifts are like, you don't expect anything. So when you get it, it's like it's either 0 or +1. And then or +100, so it's still a plus. Yeah.
How many pairs of shoes do you own?
Too many.
Too many.
Yeah.
Are you a sneakerhead?
I wouldn't say so.
No.
I like sneakers a lot, and I like hype sneakers, but I also like to find the limit of not going overboard. So, yeah. Different lifestyles give you different shoes. So if you used to be an athlete, then you have to have ball shoes, volleyball shoes, and then you have your court shoes for badminton. And then, last time, Petty.
Last time?
Oh, I was very like, what? What about last time?
different ball. Last years, yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. It was like nice shoes, Nikes, and I was like, nice as well.
You just bought it? Like that?
Yeah. It matched my SNOWLION t-shirt when I was in America.
She's explaining about like being athletic.
If you could share a meal with any four... Oh, bless you. Sitting. Sitting.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
If you could share a meal with any four individuals, living or dead, who would they be? Share one meal with four individuals.
Wow.
Me, myself, and I don't know.
Kawa. No, I never give up that option. I mean, it would be a lot. Like, I wouldn't know what I would do with myself if His Holiness was in the same area as me. I think I wouldn't say anything. I would just probably like cut the world and just shut it and just like listen. But so His Holiness is in a different category. I think that shouldn't be there. So 4 people, I would say Samdor I would love to be in a conversation. Dr. Ambedkar. Probably like Nelson Mandela. And then my mom. Yeah.
So you would have Amla with you, with them?
Yeah,
and we'd just...
for sure. Because I think Amla always has something to say. And she's very wise in her own way.
Nice.
And I would want to know what she makes out of that situation and what all of these other just big figures in life have to offer. And yeah, I think I would just be like there to listen in how they interact with each other.
I think Amala played a big role in your life.
Yeah, she's my everything minus Papa. Like, of course. So Papa and Amla make up everything.
Nice. I guess the last question would be, how many pillows do you sleep with? How many pillows? Are you like 5 pillow person? Or are you like just one?
I'm like one. Even if I don't have a pillow, it's fine. And on my head at least, like underneath my head. But if I have Teddies, like teddy stuffed toys. Yeah. If I have my stuff, I don't sleep with my stuffed toys anymore. I'm a little old for that. But I mean, you're never too old for stuffed toys. Yeah, when I was younger, I always had a toy, but nowadays I don't. So sometimes I have a pillow beside me to kind of hug.
Aww.
So 2 or 1 beside me, and then 1 underneath. But if there's no pillow on my head, if I only had 1, it would be beside me rather than in my head.
Under your head?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice. Ah.
I don't like sleeping alone, but yeah, that's what
I think I do the same. Like I just like kind of hug the pillow.
Some sad stuff.
Sad? Why? No. We're social animals. We like, human touch. So
True.
yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that wraps it up.
Yay!
Getting to know Chemi.
We're
Getting
done.
to know Chimi.
So
Now you know everything about me. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, so we'll definitely be doing more of these. This is just an initiative that we're trying to do.
So I was the guinea pig.
No,
not
not really. No.
Why would we just say that?
I think you're the highlight. You're the main.
No, I was just
It's-
joking. It's okay. No, I don't want you to feel the need to be like, no, you're good, Jimmy. Like this is unnecessary.
이게 남자 가다치 원.
저분들
Thank you, Chimi, for having
my pleasure.
For being on here and joining us.
Of course.
MOMO Talks. That was our first episode.
Yeah.
And the second episode will be coming soon. I don't know.
Let us know who do you
Yes.
think we should have next, and let us know what kind of content you guys want us to cover and stuff. This is we're trying to make some new video contents, and hopefully we want to try something new.
Make sure to subscribe, like, and share. And comment if you can.
Yeah, and with a gift to Chemi Lhamo from Snow.
Wow! No way! A Febreze, but I didn't say my pet peeve was smelly people. Can you imagine? Thanks. Are you trying to say something to me, Nanda?
Oh, we have another gift.
Are you trying to tell me something with this?
Joke.
Namda kidding the rest of
Is it off?
Yeah.
It's off?
Is it?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Oh my god.